High up in the cozy branches of an old oak tree in a small forest on the edge of a quiet village lived a young owl named Oliver. Oliver wasn't just any ordinary owl. He had feathers as soft as cotton and eyes that sparkled like the stars in the night sky. But what made Oliver truly special was his boundless curiosity. While other owls spent their days resting and their nights hunting, Oliver spent his time wondering about the world beyond the forest. He had questions about everything, about the twinkling stars, the wind that rustled the leaves, and the moon that bathed the world in silvery light. One evening, as the sky turned a soft shade of pink, Oliver perched on a branch, gazing at the setting sun. He loved watching the world slowly change from bright and warm to quiet and cool. It was his favorite time of the day, just as night began to creep over the horizon. He closed his eyes for a moment and took in a deep breath, feeling the cool evening air fill his little chest. The trees around him seemed to whisper, and he could hear the soft rustling of the leaves, telling secrets to the wind. As the sky grew darker, stars began to appear, one by one. Oliver always looked for the brightest one, the North Star, which his grandmother had once told him was the guide for lost travellers. But tonight, something was different. A small star, brighter than all the others, seemed to flicker out of the sky, falling slowly toward the earth. It wasn't like a shooting star, which streaks across the sky in an instant. No, this star seemed to float gently, as though it were a lantern carried on the breeze. Oliver blinked his large golden eyes in surprise. What was that? He wondered aloud, his voice soft like a whisper in the wind. He peered into the distance, trying to spot where the star had landed. It seemed to glow even brighter now, resting somewhere in the distance. Without a moment's hesitation, Oliver decided he must find out what had happened to the lost star. I have to see it, he thought, excitement building inside him. He spread his wings wide, feeling the cool night air rush past him as he flew off into the night. The village below seemed peaceful and quiet. The rooftops bathed in moonlight, and the paths were shadowed, lit only by the glow of the stars. But Oliver didn't mind the dark. In fact, he loved the mystery of the night, the way it made everything feel magical. As Oliver soared through the air, he thought about the star he had seen fall. Where had it landed? What was it doing on the earth? Stars were supposed to be high up in the sky, not down on the ground. The more Oliver thought about it, the more curious he became. What if this star had something to teach him? What if it was special? There were so many questions swirling in his little owl mind, but he was determined to find the answers. He flew over the fields and through the woods, flapping his wings gently and letting the night air guide him. As he passed over the treetops, he could see the ground far below him, where the star had fallen. It was nestled in a meadow, glowing softly, its light pulsing like a heartbeat. Landing lightly on the ground, Oliver tiptoed closer to the star. The moment his feet touched the grass, he felt a gentle warmth radiating from it, as if the star itself was alive. It was small, no bigger than the size of a pine cone, but it shone with a bright, pure light that seemed to light up the entire meadow. Oliver stared at it in awe, his feathers fluttering in excitement. I found it, he whispered to himself, his heart racing. He couldn't believe it. He had actually found the fallen star. But just as he was about to reach out and touch it, he heard a rustling sound behind him. He froze. Was someone else here? Had someone else seen the star fall? Hello, Oliver called softly, his voice barely louder than the whisper of the wind. Is anyone there?" To his surprise, a gentle voice answered back, "Who's there?" Oliver turned around to see a small, friendly rabbit hopping out from behind a bush. The rabbit's fur was as white as the moonlight, and its big ears twitched as it looked at Oliver with curiosity. "I heard the star fall," said the rabbit, its nose twitching. "I've never seen anything like it." "What is it, Oliver?" Oliver blinked in surprise. How did the rabbit know his name? He had never met this little bunny before. But there was something about the rabbit's soft voice that made Oliver feel safe, as if it was meant to be that they meet here, by the star. I don't know," Oliver said, "but I think it might be special. Maybe it can teach me something." And so together, Oliver and the rabbit sat quietly beside the fallen star, watching it glow. As they did, the night seemed to grow quieter, the stars twinkling above them, and the moonlight casting soft shadows across the meadow. It was a peaceful moment, full of wonder, and Oliver couldn't help but feel that something incredible was about to happen. Oliver and the rabbit sat together in the meadow, both gazing at the fallen star, which still glowed softly in the cool night air. The warmth it radiated seemed to invite them closer, and as they watched, the light seemed to pulse gently, like a heartbeat, steady and calm. The rabbit, whose name was Thistle, shifted closer to Oliver, eyes wide with wonder. "Do you think it's magic?" Thistle asked, her voice filled with awe. Oliver blinked, still mesmerized by the little star. "I think it might be," he said, his voice soft but certain. "But what kind of magic? And why did it fall down here?" Thistle's nose twitched and she seemed to consider Oliver's question. "I don't know. But if it's magic, it might be able to help you with something. Maybe it will guide you on an adventure." Oliver's wings fluttered with excitement at the thought. He had always dreamed of going on an adventure, something that would take him far beyond the comfort of his home and into the heart of the unknown. And now, with this mysterious star before him, his dream was starting to come true. "I have to find out more," Oliver said, standing up. "But I need some help. Do you think you could come with me, Thistle?" The rabbit smiled brightly. "Of course! I'd be honoured to help. We'll make the best team, Oliver." Feeling a sense of determination, Oliver carefully wrapped his wings around the star, lifting it gently from the ground. He felt the star's light grow warmer in his grasp, and its glow seemed to grow a little brighter, as if it recognized the owl's curiosity and eagerness. With the star safely held in his wings, Oliver took to the sky, and Thistle followed him on foot, hopping along the meadow's edge. Oliver soared high above the treetops, looking out over the forest below. The stars above seemed to sparkle even brighter tonight, as though the sky itself was urging him to follow the path ahead. "Where should we go?" Thistle asked, her voice echoing softly below him as she hopped from one patch of grass to the next. Oliver tilted his head thoughtfully, scanning the horizon. "I think we need to go to the top of the mountain," he said. "I've always wondered what it looks like from there. It's the highest point in the whole forest. Maybe the star knows something we don't, and it can show us the way." Thistle nodded eagerly. "The mountain is so far away, but I bet it'll be worth it. Let's go." And so the two friends began their journey. Oliver glided through the cool night air, his wings outstretched and his heart racing with excitement. He could feel the wind beneath him, the gentle lift as his wings carried him higher. The star glowed warmly in his grasp, guiding him along the way. As they travelled, they passed over fields and forests, with the moon casting soft shadows over the landscape. The night was peaceful, and the sounds of the forest below were soothing. A rustling breeze through the leaves, the distant call of a nightbird. But despite the calmness of the night, Oliver could feel the sense of wonder growing inside him. The star was leading him toward something important, something he didn't yet understand. The journey to the mountain took longer than Oliver had expected. They flew over streams and hills, and occasionally they stopped to rest under the cover of a tall tree or to admire the quiet beauty of the landscape. Thistle hopped along the forest floor below, occasionally looking up at Oliver as he flew ahead. After what seemed like hours, they reached the base of the mountain. The towering cliffs rose sharply into the sky, and the peak was shrouded in mist. The air here felt cooler, and the scent of pine and earth filled Oliver's beak. He landed gently on a rock near the base, his wings folded against his sides. "This is it," Oliver said, looking up at the towering mountain. "It's even more beautiful than I imagined." Thistle hopped up beside him, looking up at the mountain with wide eyes. "It's huge! How are we going to climb all the way to the top?" Oliver looked down at the little rabbit beside him. "I'll carry the star, and you can lead the way. You know the mountain better than I do." The rabbit nodded with determination, and together they began the long climb up the mountain. The trail was steep and winding, and at times the path was barely visible, hidden beneath thick foliage. But Thistle seemed to know where to step, and she hopped nimbly over rocks and roots. Oliver followed closely behind, flapping his wings gently to help himself ascend when the path grew too steep. As they climbed, the air grew thinner, and the sounds of the forest below became quieter. The only sound they could hear was the rhythmic tapping of Thistle's feet and the soft rustling of Oliver's feathers as he flew from one rocky ledge to another. The climb was tiring, and Oliver could feel the strain on his wings as they continued upwards. He glanced over at Thistle, who seemed to be getting tired as well, her little legs beginning to slow. "Do you want to take a break?" Oliver asked gently. Thistle paused for a moment, panting slightly. "Maybe just for a minute," she said, her voice soft but determined. "I'm not giving up yet, Oliver. We've come so far." Oliver smiled warmly at his friend. "I'm proud of you, Thistle. We're almost there. I can feel it." They rested for a few minutes, taking in the view of the forest below. The lights from the village were twinkling in the distance, and the stars above seemed to shine even brighter. But Oliver felt a sense of anticipation growing inside him. He could feel the star pulsing in his wings as though it was eager to reach the peak of the mountain. With renewed energy, they continued their ascent. The path grew steeper, and soon they reached a narrow ridge where the wind whipped through the rocks. It was difficult to keep their balance, but Oliver and Thistle pressed on, determined to reach the top. Finally, after what felt like an eternity of climbing, they reached the summit. The mountain peak was flat and wide, offering a breathtaking view of the entire forest below. The stars above seemed to shine even brighter from this height, and the moon bathed everything in a soft, silvery light. Oliver landed gently on the peak, feeling a sense of accomplishment wash over him. "We made it," he said softly, gazing around at the vast expanse of the forest below. Thistle hopped up beside him, her ears twitching with excitement. "This is amazing! Look at all the stars!" she exclaimed. But as they looked around, they realized that the star in Oliver's wings had begun to glow even brighter. Its light filled the entire mountaintop, illuminating everything in a soft, ethereal glow. Oliver's heart raced. It was as if the star was leading them towards something important. "Do you feel that?" Oliver asked, his voice trembling with excitement. Thistle nodded. "I do. It's like the star is trying to tell us something." Oliver stared at the glowing star in his wings, his mind racing. He had come all this way, and now, standing at the top of the mountain, he realized that the true adventure was just beginning. Oliver perched on the mountain peak, his wings fluttering slightly in the cool breeze. Thistle stood beside him, her fur bristling with excitement as the light from the fallen star grew stronger and brighter. The glow enveloped the entire mountaintop, casting long shadows against the rocky landscape and turning the world around them into a soft, shimmering dream. "It's beautiful, isn't it?" Thistle whispered, her voice filled with wonder. Oliver nodded, his gaze fixed on the star that seemed to pulse with a quiet rhythm, like the beating of a heart. As he held it in his wings, he could feel its warmth, more intense now than ever before. It was as if the star was alive, aware of its surroundings and eager to share its secret. He took a deep breath and looked up at the sky. The stars above him twinkled in response, and the moon bathed the entire mountain in a silvery glow. But something was different now. The star in his wings was no longer just a beautiful, mysterious object. It was part of something much larger. Oliver felt it in his very bones. This star had come to him for a reason. "I think it's time," Oliver said softly, almost to himself. He couldn't explain it, but he knew. The star had led him to this very spot, and now it was ready to reveal its purpose. Thistle tilted her head, sensing the shift in the air. "What do you mean, Oliver?" she asked, her voice a mix of curiosity and awe. Oliver opened his wings, holding the star higher. The light around them grew even brighter, so bright that it felt as though the entire world had been washed in a soft, glowing light. He closed his eyes, allowing himself to feel the star's pulse. It was calling to him, urging him to understand. As Oliver stood there, with the star glowing in his wings, a low hum filled the air. It was a gentle sound, almost like the wind, but deeper, magical. The humming grew louder, resonating with the pulse of the star. It felt like the very mountain itself was responding, as though the earth was listening to the star's call. Thistle stepped back, her ears twitching. "Oliver, what's happening?" "I don't know, but I think it's the star. It's trying to tell me something." The humming reached a crescendo, and then suddenly the star in Oliver's wings burst into a dazzling light. Oliver gasped, his wings trembling as the light expanded outward, enveloping everything around them. The mountaintop, the forest below, the sky above. All of it was bathed in the star's radiant glow. Oliver felt his body lift slightly, as though the star's magic was pulling him into the air. Oliver opened his wings, holding the star higher. The light around them grew even brighter, so bright that it felt as though the entire world had been washed in a soft, glowing light. He closed his eyes, allowing himself to feel the star's pulse. It was calling to him, urging him to understand. As Oliver stood there with the star glowing in his wings, a low hum filled the air. It was a gentle sound, almost like the wind, but deeper, magical. The humming grew louder, resonating with the pulse of the star. It felt like the very mountain itself was responding, as though the earth was listening to the star's call. Thistle stepped back, her ears twitching. "Oliver, what's happening?" I don't know, but I think it's the star. It's trying to tell me something. The humming reached a crescendo, and then, suddenly, the star in Oliver's wings burst into a dazzling light. Oliver gasped, his wings trembling as the light expanded outward, enveloping everything around them. The mountain top, the forest below, the sky above, all of it was bathed in the star's radiant glow. Oliver felt his body lift slightly, as though the star's magic was pulling him into the air. A soft, melodic voice echoed in Oliver's mind, clear and peaceful, yet filled with an ancient wisdom. "Young owl, you have sought the lost star, and now you must understand its true power." Oliver closed his eyes, listening to the voice, the words settling in his heart. "The star's power?" he whispered, unsure of what it all meant. The voice spoke again, calm and gentle. "Light does not only exist in the sky, young one. It is within you, within every living thing. It is a part of the world, and a part of yourself. The star has fallen not just to guide you, but to remind you that the light you seek is already inside you." Oliver's heart swelled with a quiet understanding, and as the voice faded, he opened his eyes. The light from the star was no longer blinding. It was soft, warm, like the glow of a sunrise. He could feel its warmth, not just in his wings, but deep inside his chest, like a comforting fire that had been waiting to be lit. "Oliver!" Thistle's voice broke through the quiet, her tone gentle and concerned. "Are you okay?" Oliver looked down at the little rabbit, his eyes wide with wonder. "Thistle, I think I understand now. The star didn't fall because it was lost. It fell because it wanted me to understand that light isn't just something we see in the sky. It's something we carry inside us. The light in my wings, the light in the star, it's all part of me." Thistle's eyes sparkled with realization, her tail twitching excitedly. "So, you're saying that the star was showing you the light inside your heart? That's incredible." Oliver nodded slowly, feeling a deep sense of peace. The star, once a mystery, now felt like a part of him. It was no longer just a glowing object. It was a symbol of something far greater. The light that had guided him on this journey, the warmth that had filled his wings, was a reminder of the love and strength he carried within himself. But there was still more to discover. Oliver closed his eyes again, his wings outstretched, and took a deep breath. He could feel the pulse of the star, now calm and steady. He could feel the light within him, flickering like a tiny flame. Suddenly, the light from the star began to fade, gently dimming as though the star's task had been completed. Oliver looked down at the little star, still glowing softly in his wings, and realized that the journey was not about finding the light outside of himself. It was about understanding that the light he had been searching for was already within him, waiting to be discovered. "Thank you," Oliver whispered, his voice soft, but filled with gratitude. "Thank you for showing me." Thistle hopped up beside him, her eyes wide with admiration. "Oliver, you did it! You found the light inside yourself." Oliver smiled, his heart full. "I didn't just find it. I understand it now." The star's glow dimmed even further until it was no more than a faint shimmer in Oliver's wings. He held it carefully, knowing that its light would always be with him, not just in his wings, but in his heart. For a long moment there was silence on the mountaintop. The world around them seemed to pause as if holding its breath, waiting for the next moment. And in that silence, Oliver felt a deep sense of peace. He had set out on this adventure to find a lost star, but in the end, he had found something far more valuable. He had found himself. As the last rays of the star's glow faded, Oliver carefully placed the fallen star back in his wings. It was no longer the blazing light that had once filled the mountaintop. It had become something softer, quieter, almost like a gentle ember that warmed him from the inside. The magic of the star had woven its way into him, and now it was time to let go. Thistle, who had been watching with wide, thoughtful eyes, hopped closer. "So, what happens now, Oliver?" "What do we do with the star?" she asked, her voice soft but filled with curiosity. Oliver looked down at the star nestled gently in his wings, feeling its comforting warmth. "We don't need to do anything," he replied with a peaceful smile. "The star has shown me something very important. It's shown me that the light I've been searching for isn't something outside of me. It's inside me, just like it's inside all of us." Thistle's big brown eyes sparkled as she thought about Oliver's words. "So, you mean you've found the light within yourself?" Oliver nodded, his wings settling comfortably around the star. "Yes, the light was never lost. It was always there, waiting for me to see it." Thistle smiled warmly, her fur ruffling in the evening breeze. She had always believed that there was more to the world than what could be seen with just the eyes, and Oliver's journey had proved that to be true. She looked at him, her little heart swelling with admiration. "You've learned something very special, Oliver. You've found the greatest treasure of all." Oliver's heart fluttered with joy, and for a moment he just stood there, basking in the quiet beauty of the mountaintop. The world around them was still, the sky now painted with soft shades of purple and blue as dusk settled in. The wind had died down, leaving only the gentle rustling of the leaves and the soft sounds of the world winding down for the night. "Well," Oliver said, his voice quieter now, "I think it's time to go home. The star will always be with me inside my heart. I'm ready to share what I've learned." Thistle's ears perked up at the mention of home. "Yes, it's getting late," she agreed. "It's been a long day, and I'm sure your family is waiting for you." Oliver smiled, knowing she was right. He spread his wings, and with Thistle hopping excitedly beside him, they began to make their way back down the mountain. The sky above was now twinkling with stars, the very same stars that had once seemed so distant and unreachable, now shining brightly like tiny beacons of light. And as they descended, Oliver felt lighter than he ever had before. The weight of his quest was gone, replaced by a peaceful sense of fulfillment. As they walked, the stars seemed to twinkle brighter, almost as though they were guiding him home, reminding him that he wasn't alone. The journey had been long, but now Oliver knew that every step had been part of discovering the light within himself. When they reached the edge of the forest, Oliver could see the warm glow of his treehouse in the distance. His family would be waiting for him, and he was eager to share his newfound understanding with them. His wings fluttered in excitement as he picked up the pace, Thistle bounding alongside him, her little paws light on the forest floor. By the time they reached his home, the night had fully settled in, and the moon was high above, casting a soft silver glow over the clearing. His family's voices could be heard from inside, and Oliver's heart felt full, knowing he was returning to a place where he was loved and safe. "Oliver!" His mother's voice called out warmly as she saw him approach. "You're back! How was your adventure?" Oliver beamed, his wings gently holding the star close. "It was wonderful, Mum. I learned something very important today," he said as he stepped inside, Thistle hopping in after him. The star showed me that the light I've been searching for was never lost. It was inside me all along." His mother smiled softly and tucked him into his cozy bed beside the fireplace. "That's a very wise lesson, my dear," she said as she kissed his forehead. "You've always had the light in you, Oliver. I'm so proud of you." Oliver settled into his soft bed, feeling the warmth of the fire nearby and the comfort of his mother's words. His wings, once filled with the urgency of his quest, now felt relaxed and content. He closed his eyes, knowing that the journey had led him to a place of peace. The night outside was calm, with the stars twinkling brightly in the sky. Oliver took a deep, slow breath, allowing the soft sounds of the world to lull him into a sense of calm. He could feel the stars' warmth still inside him, a soft, glowing light that would always be with him, even when the night was dark and quiet. Thistle, who had curled up on the edge of Oliver's bed, gave a contented sigh. "Good night, Oliver," she whispered. "Good night, Thistle," Oliver replied, his voice soft. "Thank you for helping me understand." As he drifted off to sleep, Oliver's thoughts were calm and peaceful. The light he had been searching for was no longer something far away. It was part of him. And as he sank deeper into his dreams, he felt the warm embrace of that light, wrapping around him like a cozy blanket. In the quiet of the night, as the moonlight bathed the forest outside, Oliver knew that tomorrow he would wake up with a heart full of warmth and light, ready to share his newfound wisdom with the world. The star had shown him the way, and now it was time for him to shine. The gentle hum of the forest filled the air as the stars above twinkled brighter than ever. Oliver's heart glowed with the peaceful light that only true understanding could bring, and in that moment he felt a deep sense of peace. As the world around him settled into stillness, Oliver whispered softly to himself, "I am light. I am home." And with that, he drifted into a deep, peaceful sleep, knowing that the journey of self-discovery was only just beginning. The world around Oliver felt soft and still, as if all the quiet, comforting magic of the star had wrapped itself around him. The gentle winds outside whispered through the leaves, creating a lullaby of peace. Oliver felt his breath slowing, the day's adventures fading into the warmth of his bed. He could feel his wings growing heavy, his body sinking deeper into the soft bed, as though the clouds themselves were holding him close. He took a deep, calming breath, and as he exhaled, the last remnants of the star's glowing warmth filled him with comfort. He was safe. He was loved. Oliver's thoughts began to drift away, like the soft puffs of clouds floating across the sky. Each breath made him feel lighter and lighter, like he was floating higher and higher, up into the sky, where the stars twinkled gently, watching over him. With every breath, he let go of the day, letting the worries and excitement fade away like the stars retreating into the distance. He was surrounded by peace, held by the comforting glow of the moonlight and the quiet magic of the forest. "Good night, Oliver," whispered the breeze as it kissed his cheek. And as Oliver's body relaxed, his mind drifted into the sweetest of dreams. The light of the star still glowing gently inside him, guiding him softly into sleep.